feeling all alone.
Hey y'all, Joefer here, the cranky old gay guy. Today I am going to give you 8 tips to fight loneliness. Loneliness comes at all ages. You can be lonely when you're young, youthful, middle-aged, senior, elderly, old. Everybody gets lonely. Everyone can be lonely. So these 8 tips are primarily geared towards gay men 50-ish above, but they pertain pretty much to everyone. So I was going to call this older, gay, and lonely, but that kind of sounds depressing. So I'm just going to say 8 tips to help fight loneliness. Okay, tip number 1. Reach out to those around you. That's right, your neighbors, your friends, people you come in contact with, just talk to them. Just talking to someone can bring your loneliness level from up here all the way down here. Just a conversation. So that's step number 1, reaching out. Sometimes you don't want to admit that you're lonely because you think it's a failure for some reason. It's not. So if you're feeling alone and you don't want to be alone, talk to somebody. You could be talking to a therapist, I guess, but maybe your next door neighbor's a therapist. Oh, wouldn't you know, my next door neighbor is a therapist. Wow, it's a small world. But that's beside the point. Reach out, talk to people, just say, hey, it's really good talking to somebody. I haven't talked to someone in person in a while. This is what I needed. Just do that. Second is you could research activities in your area if you have access to the internet. I would say look in the activities section of a newspaper, but there's a lot of papers that just aren't out there anymore and they're not accessible. They're boutique papers that are usually in downtown areas. But if you can go online, you can search for events in your area. Facebook has an events area. It's a tab, or just type in Facebook events and it'll pull up a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in your region, your city, your country. I'm not saying you're going to make friends at these places, but it gives you things to do, to get out, to be around people. You're going to feel less lonely. Who knows, you might strike up a conversation with somebody and meet them. There's a thing called Meetup. It's a group, I believe. I don't think it's an app. I mean, it might have an app as well, but it's for different cities around the country. I know I've tried to use the one for Portland, but when I type it in, it just brings up stuff in Seattle. So I guess there's not a chapter here. But it would be like, this group's going to go do a cooking class, or this group's going to go to a winery, or they're going to go check out a new coffee shop or a restaurant or a concert or something like that. Maybe that's not what you're looking for, but maybe it is. Get you out of the house, get you around people. Okay, that's 2 things. Another thing too, on point number 2, is if your community has a lesbian and gay, bisexual, transgender community center, call them or go to their website, see what activities they have, because oftentimes they'll have community activities that are intended just to get people out of their houses and around other people. Point number 3, dating apps. I know. Maybe you don't want to hook up. Maybe you do. Maybe you just want to be friends. Well, not all dating apps are just for hookups, okay? There is one site in particular geared towards older gay men, and it's called Silver Daddies. If you don't use your account, I think in 2 months or 6 weeks or something like that, if you don't log in, your account is erased and you have to start over. It is free to get on there and look around, and I think you can even send some messages. They do have premium applications or premium tiers if you want to send multiple messages, contact a lot of people, etc., put up more pictures. And Silver Daddies is geared towards Silver Daddies and their admirers. Their admirers don't have to be young people, so if you're into people your own age, there are people your own age who are into people your age. So check that out. That is an option. Otherwise, you've got your standards, Grindr, Rakuten, Scruff. Oh, it used to be gay.com. I don't even know if that's around anymore. A lot of them come and go. But I know that the ones that are still active, Grindr's still real active, Scruff's still real active, and Sniffies, Sniffies. You might not be able to download the app for a while. It was pulled from the stores because of its connotations. So you could just go to sniffies.com. And what that does is pull up a map in your area showing you men who are, or people, mostly men. There might be some trans girls on there too, but it'll pull up a map of your area showing where all the people are, and then you can send messages back and forth. That is a free service. Mostly what I found on Sniffies, it is a hookup thing, but it doesn't mean you can't chat somebody up, maybe meet for coffee. Just, don't lead anybody on. Let them know right up front that you're interested in talking and not just a hookup. Okay? That's number 3. Number 4, go hang out at your local coffee shop. That's right. It's going to make you feel less lonely because you're going to be around people. It's pretty easy in a coffee house to strike up a conversation with somebody. It might only be 2 words or 2 sentences, or it could turn into a full 20, 30-minute conversation. It's not a place that you're going to go find the man of your dreams. In fact, you might not even chat with a man at all. But it will get you out of your loneliness mode. And you might find that when you are in a space like that where there's a lot of chatter, even if you are not within that chatter, you're just hearing it, you'll go home and you'll say, I'm not lonely anymore because I'm tired of being around all these people. That's another thing just to kind of get you out of the lonely mood. Step number 5, find a game night somewhere. You can do that by talking to people, going online, looking at it. And when I say game night, bars, nightclubs, taverns will have game nights. Sometimes they are trivia nights where you will go in and you can be a trivia person by yourself, or you can ask to sit with some people at a table and you'll be a team and then you guys compete. It's a fun activity. It does get discussions going. It tests your knowledge. Game night, I know that there's a couple bars here in town that have a game night, the gay bars. And it's role-playing games, card games, video games. One of the bars has a pool table, so that too. And you can go in and you meet people that you've not met before because they're sitting at the table you're playing a card game at. Maybe you don't have a game, or maybe you don't know how to play a game that they have. You can watch, you can ask for instructions, you can read the instructions. Maybe someone will show you how to do it. But it gets you around people. Not everyone at the game night is in their 20s. I would say the average that I've noticed is in their mid-30s, but there are some older people and there are some much younger people. So again, this isn't an option. I'm not putting this out there for you to go meet somebody that's going to be your life partner. This is just to help get you around people so you're not as lonely. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point number 6. If you are able to, and you're in a living situation that allows it, a pet can help keep you from being lonely. Now, the easiest pet, I think, to fight loneliness is a cat, because the cat is very easy to care for. They kind of do their own thing, but they want attention. They come to you, or you can go to them. Some cats like to snuggle, some don't. If you can get a young kitten, it's going to be much more amicable to cuddle with. And as it gets older, you and this kitten will have a bond. If you get an older cat, it might be tough to get that cat to come up and cuddle with you, at least initially. Also, dogs are a good option, but dogs require more work. They need more attention. They can't be left home as long alone as a cat can. They need to be walked every day. If you have any kind of a physical thing that would prevent you from taking the dog out, then you probably shouldn't get a dog, and a cat would be a good option. I'm not saying birds, because birds, to me, they don't do a lot. They just kind of stay in a cage and they make noise and yeah. Not knocking them. I know people that have birds, and that's great, but there's always a bird squawking in the background, and that kind of isn't what I would want in my house. You could also opt for guinea pigs. They're kind of snuggly. I don't know if they care if you're there or not because I can't really read uh, the mood of a guinea pig. Um, they're easy to care for as well. Same with a rabbit. Rabbits can be house trained, so they go and use a litter box, and they're pretty fluffy and they like to be cuddled and things. Um, I've not had a pet rabbit. I've had a pet pig in the house, and that was pretty much like having a dog. And yes, I had a potbelly pig, and the pig does bark just like a dog in the morning, trying to get you out of bed. It kind of not a super loud bark, but it's definitely a bark. And they also have tusks that come out that can destroy your furniture and your linoleum floor, etc. So keep that in mind if you decide to shoot for the pig option. Okay, can't get a pet or you don't want a pet, you could start an online Zoom discussion group. Now, there may be some, if you do an internet search, there may be Zoom groups that are already there and they're just social clubs. Back during COVID, there were drinking meetups, happy hour meetups, etc. on Zoom. Those have kind of faded away, but there might be still some floating around out there. You could do a search on that, or you could go on Facebook if you have people on Facebook that follow you or you follow them, or Instagram, and put the word out that you're interested in starting an online virtual meetup where you just talk about the day's events or you talk about whatever interests you, plants, bowling, car mechanics, wood shop, etc., and kind of gauge the interest and see what kind of feedback you get to see if any of these people really want to do that. That would be another way to get over loneliness. Now, loneliness doesn't have to be physical loneliness. It can just be mental loneliness. So you might be able to pull yourself out of loneliness, not by meeting people, but just by interacting with them online. That might be all that you need. A lot of long distance romances are that way. You're paired with somebody and you're getting that emotional fix. You might not be getting the physical, but you're getting the emotional point or part just virtually. And you might be able to do that too with one of these Zoom meetups. And my last option would probably be my least favorite because I'm going to use the term Karen. I hope you know what that is. Karen's kind of like a busybody, know-it-all, a gossip, or someone who just wants to stir the crap in the neighborhood. I would say get on the Nextdoor app. Initially, I downloaded the app and joined years ago thinking, oh, this is a good way to keep in touch with your neighbors if there's an emergency or there's something happening on the street or in the neighborhood that you don't know about. You can tune in, and it would be like Twitter, but it would be localized. So people would be up to date. And that's kind of what it was in the beginning. But then it got it became the soapbox for specific people in the neighborhood who wanted to get on there and complain about how you shouldn't let your cat out of the house, or you shouldn't let your dog crap except on the sidewalk because even though that's a planting strip and you pick up the poop, it's not your property. Or you shouldn't leave your car parked on the street for more than 24 hours because legally that's against the city ordinance. Does the city really do anything about it? No. There are cars that are parked on the street for months and the city does nothing. It's a complaint-driven system. But these Karens will go out and report that and say, this car is parked the wrong direction on the street. It needs to get a ticket. And they will do that day after day after day until the city comes out and tickets that car. So there are also, if you interact with people on Nextdoor, oftentimes they will interact back and not in a positive way. If they think you are disagreeing with them or attacking them, they will come down hard on you. So be aware of that. On the other side of Nextdoor is a good way to meet people that you don't know. You might have neighbors 5 houses down that you've never met, but they're on Nextdoor. At least you can get the idea of their personality. You might send them a message or say, I'm having a mixer at your front yard from 5 to 7. We're going to have happy hour. I want all the neighbors on my street to come down and just kind of socialize with me. It's just an option to get you over loneliness. That would be my least favorite option because with Nextdoor, I have seen a lot of things on there I want nothing to do with. I do not post on Nextdoor anymore. I still get updates. There was one neighbor that borrowed a ladder years ago, and she seasonally borrows this ladder, so I get messages from her. But that's about it. So these are your 8 points or steps to overcome loneliness. I hope that they were helpful. The only one on there that really makes me cranky is the Nextdoor, because I did post about abandoned cars on my street because there were several, and I did by posting find owners for some of these cars, and the other cars, it wasn't just me talking to the city, it was several people talking to the city about cars being here too long. And when I posted an informational question about another car that had been on the street for about 6 or 7 weeks, I got attacked by someone who knows that person about how I'm a busybody and how I just need to mind my own business because it's not hurting me to have that vehicle parked on the street. And it wasn't hurting me, but because of my history with stolen vehicles outside of my home, and it was on my block, I didn't say anything for about a good 6 weeks. And then I finally posted thinking, well, if this is someone's car, a lot of times they come down from, and it had Washington plates, they come down from Washington and they dump them. I've had a van, a station wagon, and 3 different cars parked right outside my kitchen over the last 2 years, just dumped there. And people would come by at night and take things from them or open up the hood and pull stuff out and slam the hood and wake me up. So that's what that was about. I just haven't had a lot of good interactions on Nextdoor. And anyway, that's about it. I hope that everything is well with you and you're not lonely. But if you are, you might want to consider these points. And I will see all of you tomorrow, which is New Year's Eve. Bye-bye.
Are you feeling all alone? Are you wanting someone near? Are you waiting by your phone? Are you lonely out of fear? Here's some tips you can apply when you're lonely by and by. Take them on, they are not mine. They belong to you one at a time. There are ways when you feel blue. 8 simple tips, things you can do. 8 ways to help pull you out of that funk that's hanging about. Put into practice what you learn. You can socialize and not be burned. Play some games, discuss a thing or two. There is no downside, it's up to you. Well, that's it, I've said all I can. Step up to the plate and take a stand. Take a swing, hit it out of the park. You'll find after this no loneliness.